He blurred my face, but left our baby clear, like he could erase me without hiding what belonged to us. I woke up to a sound I used to love, Ava's giggle coming through the baby monitor. But before I got up, I checked my phone. 37. Notifications. Group chats, tags, and one headline from my own life I hadn't approved. A photo of Marcus holding our daughter, with my face blurred out. The caption read, "Proud to be a dad. Nothing matters more than my real family." My stomach dropped. That word, real, did something to me. He'd written it in all caps like a statement, a correction, a public revision of what was true. Ava's tiny body was in full focus, her hands reaching, her little mouth open in a half laugh. I was there too. I recognized the moment, a quick photo we took before dinner last Thursday. I remember because I asked him not to post it. Not yet. Not without asking. But now, I wasn't in it. Not really. Just a blurred shell beside them. A nameless, faceless figure next to the man who smiled into the camera like he was the hero. Like this life didn't come through me, bleed from me, begin, inside of me, and below the caption, 3 tags. His sister, his mother, and Sarah. Sarah. The woman he dated before me. The one who never left his Instagram even after she moved on. Tagged in our baby's debut photo, like she belonged in this family more than I did. I froze. Ava cooed from her room, but my body couldn't move. My mouth was dry, my hands cold. I stared at that picture and felt like someone had scooped me out of my own life and left the frame clean. Not empty, erased. My first thought wasn't anger. It was humiliation. I imagined people scrolling, pausing, wondering, why is the mother blurred out? I imagined Sarah smiling at the tag. I imagined Marcus sitting somewhere, watching the likes climb, satisfied. There was no way this was a mistake. He had to use a blur tool. He had to crop, adjust, filter, post. Every click was a decision. And in every one, he chose to delete me, but keep my child. Keep what made him look good, and cut what made him uncomfortable. I put the phone down and walked to Ava's room. She was on her back, waving her arms, babbling at the mobile above her crib. She didn't know what he did. She didn't know the image of her joy had been weaponized. I picked her up, held her to my chest, and cried silently, because I had no idea how to explain this to her someday. That her father loved being a dad, but not a partner. That he wanted the title without the story. That he used her face for admiration, and blurred the woman who gave her life. The doorbell rang. It was Zoe. She brought coffee, like she always did on Fridays. I showed her the post. Her lips tightened. She didn't say much. Just placed the coffee down and whispered, "He really did that." And that's when I knew I wasn't overreacting. I took a screenshot. Several. I scrolled through the comments. Some were confused. A few asked why the mother was hidden. Most praised him. Amazing dad. Such love. Family man. I wanted to scream. But instead I documented it. Quietly. Because I knew this wasn't just a photo. This was the start of something bigger. A pattern. A message. A boundary crossed in pixels that I couldn't unsee. He thought I'd stay quiet. Thought I'd just accept the blur. But I'm the mother. The origin. The heart. And mothers don't get erased. Not in real life. Not without consequences. Not without rising back into full focus. That was the moment I decided. He may have blurred me, but I would show the world who took the picture. Marcus and I met at a holiday charity drive. He was charming in that effortless way, holding doors, complimenting strangers, wearing a smile like he was born with it. He handed me a can of soup for the donation box and said, "Let's feed the world, one flirt at a time." I laughed. That was our beginning. We dated for a year before moving in together. He brought routines, playlists, and a perfect Sunday pancake recipe. I brought candles, patience, and this softness I didn't realize I could lose. Our apartment felt like hope, like it was stitched together with stories yet to be written. He proposed in spring. We were standing under the jacaranda tree in my grandmother's garden. He said, "Let's build a family that feels like this." I didn't ask what this meant. I just said yes. Because at the time, his voice was home. Our wedding was small. I wore a satin slip dress and sandals. He cried before I even walked down the aisle. And afterward, he whispered, "Thank you for making me real." I believed him. I built our life on that sentence. We wanted a baby from the start. I tracked my cycle, cut caffeine, did everything right. It took a while. Each negative test cracked a piece of me. He told me not to worry. It'll happen when it's meant to. I clung to that sentence like a prayer. When I finally got pregnant, he was over the moon. He decorated the nursery before I hit 12 weeks. Posted ultrasound, photos before we told our parents. At the time, I thought it was enthusiasm. Now, I wonder if it was branding. Ava was born on a rainy morning. 8 pounds of softness and noise. He held her like a trophy. Took selfies before I even got to hold her skin to skin. He shared a video of her first cry before I could catch my breath. Everyone said he was such a proud dad. She's got his eyes. He's a natural. No one noticed that in every post I was cropped out of focus. Always in the background, like I was the nurse. Not the woman who tore herself open to bring her into this world. Zoe noticed. She sent me a screenshot once. A photo of Ava in my lap, with only Marcus tagged. Her text said, "Are you okay with this?" I brushed it off. Told her he probably forgot. But something in me had started to ache. Our conversations shifted. Less about us, more about Ava. Less about Ava, more about how people saw us with Ava. He started saying things like, "This is what they want to see," as if we were characters, as if the world was watching a show he directed. I tried to speak up once, asked why I wasn't in the Mother's Day post. He said, "It's just social media. Don't take it personally." But I did, because personal is exactly what it was. He wasn't erasing me publicly. He was rehearsing it. Still, I stayed. I wanted the family we dreamed of. I wanted to believe this was just a phase, that he'd come back to me, not as an influencer, but as a husband. I gave him time, space, trust, and he used that trust to blur me out of my own family. The first red flag was so quiet, I almost missed it. He reposted a photo Zoe had taken of us at the park. Ava in my arms, Marcus beside us, but he cropped it just below my chin. "Fatherhood looks good on you," the comment said. No one asked where I was. I asked him gently, "Why crop the photo?" He smiled. "You looked tired. I didn't think you'd want that one out." I nodded, even thanked him. But a part of me felt like I'd just agreed to disappear. Then came the edits. He started adjusting light, contrast, filters, always on Ava, always on himself. My skin tone got lighter. My freckles vanished. In one picture, my arm was so smoothed out it didn't look like mine. I said nothing. He never posted our anniversary dinner. Said the restaurant lighting was bad. But he posted a solo photo of himself the same night, holding Ava. Caption: "Dads who do it all." I stared at that phrase. Wondered if all meant cutting me out of the story. Zoe started noticing too. "You're never tagged anymore," she said one day, scrolling through his feed. I laughed it off. Maybe he's just careful. But the truth was, he wasn't careful. He was intentional. He had 2 phones now, one for work. The other was always on Do Not Disturb. I never saw him unlock it around me. Once I asked to use it. He froze, then handed me the other one, smiling too wide. This one has better battery. He became oddly obsessed with image, scheduling Ava's outfits, timing golden hour photos, writing captions like ad copy. I became the woman behind the lens, the one who handed him the baby, fixed the bow, but never existed in the final shot. When friends visited, he was warm, generous, the doting dad. But once they left, he'd go silent, distant, like he was only alive under lights and likes, like the audience was more real than me. He rarely asked about my day. Didn't know Ava had started recognizing colors, missed the moment. She said mama first, then posted about how she babbled dada all morning. I didn't correct him. I didn't want the argument. He told his followers everything, but told me almost nothing. I started reading our relationship through his captions, grateful for support, on days he hadn't looked me in the eye. Blessed to co-parent when I'd cook dinner alone again. I asked him once, "Do you even see me anymore?" He said, "Of course, don't be dramatic." But I wasn't dramatic. I was dissolving, and he was documenting it. The day before the blurred photo, I found a message from Sarah on his locked phone. Just one line. "You're doing it right. She's not the image." I stared at it for an hour. I didn't cry. Not yet. He came home with flowers that night. Said he had a surprise planned. Kissed my cheek like a punctuation mark. And I knew then. Something was coming. Something final. I woke that morning feeling proud. I had dressed Ava in her favorite romper, tied her hair in a little bow, and thought, we'll take a new family photo today. I waited for Marcus to come downstairs with coffee and smiles. That's when he handed me my phone. "You need to see this," he said softly, avoiding my eyes. I already knew. I scrolled to his post again. Ava's bright smile, but my face still a fuzzy blur. I felt a burning in my throat. I mouthed, "Why?" He shrugged. "I just wanted to focus on her." But the word "just" felt like a slap. I asked him to sit. In the kitchen. Classic morning light. I needed context. He said he didn't want people to ask questions about me. That I was private. That our lives were our own. But he posted our baby for the world. He poured 2 cups of coffee. Mine got cold while he talked. Explained that tagging real family was, his words, a way to celebrate those who've supported him through this journey. Me? I was supporting through silence. I felt small. I moved around the coffee table, heart pounding. I said, "Your family is mine. His family is ours." He looked away, just breathed. He didn't argue. He didn't say sorry. He just sighed and said, "I didn't think it was a betrayal." The first time I cried was quiet, a single tear that slid down my cheek. I caught it with my finger. Felt like tears could blot a screen, but not a heart. The baby woke to my sadness. Ava looked at Marcus, then me. That look, pure confusion, was more painful than his omission. I went upstairs, closed the nursery door, stood in silence while Ava reached for me. I pulled her toward me and whispered, "I'm your mama. Don't forget it." My voice shook, but I meant every word. It was a reminder, to her, and to myself. He knocked softly on the door. "Olivia?" I didn't respond. He stayed, said, "Can we talk?" I heard paper rustling. Maybe he was taking my screenshot. Maybe he wanted to memorialize my hurt. I closed my eyes and let the sound of his footsteps fade. I left the house, walked to a cafe, ordered a latte, and stared at the wall. I didn't order food, couldn't stomach it. I watched families around me, heard laughter, shared memories. So close, yet so far from my own wedding years ago. My phone buzzed. A message from Zoe. I saw. Are you okay? I typed back. Not yet. Then deleted it. How can you be okay when you're blurred out of your own life? When your daughter's face is fine, but yours is a question mark? He followed me there, 10 minutes later. Sat across from me, not engaging, just sitting. 2 coffees. 1 silent. I wanted him to explain himself. I was honest enough to listen. But he offered excuses. Aesthetic, privacy, focus. None of them covered the wound. I asked him to leave. For the first time, with tears in my eyes, I said, "You hurt me. You erased me." He looked like he didn't know how to respond. Maybe because none of his words were true. Maybe because he just realized how shallow his filters were. He didn't push further when I said I needed time. He didn't try to hug me. He just nodded, paid his coffee, walked away without a backward glance. And that's when I realized nothing here was about me. It was about his image. And my love had nothing to do with that. I sat longer, took deep breaths, wrote down feelings in my notebook. Pain, anger, disappointment. My script for what came next. When I finally left, I felt heavy. But stronger because I had faced the betrayal face to face. He blurred my face. He blurred my heart a little too. But I wasn't broken. That night, I sat on the nursery floor long after Ava fell asleep. I didn't turn the lights on. The stars from her nightlight cast shadows on the wall, soft and slow. I watched them move while my body stayed completely still. I couldn't cry anymore. I'd run out. I scrolled through my camera roll, watching the moments Marcus never posted. Ava's first steps toward me, her laugh when I made up silly songs, her first fever at 3 a.m. when he was too tired to help. Moments I lived alone, moments I treasured. I wanted to scream, but I was afraid I'd wake her. So I screamed, inside, loud and raw, the kind of scream that makes your throat ache without sound. My body shook from the inside out, fists clenched against the rug, jaw locked tight. Why wasn't I enough? Why wasn't motherhood, womanhood, partnership? Why wasn't presence enough? He had what he wanted. A beautiful baby, a curated feed, a blurred woman who wouldn't fight back. Until now. I opened my messages, typed to Zoe. He blurred me. Out. On purpose. But I didn't send it. I stared at the words, wishing I had the energy to explain what it felt like to be made invisible, to be erased not by accident, but by strategy. I pulled out the blanket my mother had made for Ava, sat wrapped in it, knees to chest. The weight of it felt like protection, like memory. My mother had always told me, "Don't let anyone rewrite your story." But I had, slowly, willingly. I went to the bathroom, looked in the mirror. My face was blotchy, red, puffy, but real, raw, present. I stared for a long time. I whispered to my reflection, "You are not a blur. You are not a placeholder." It didn't fix me, but it grounded me. The house was quiet. He was downstairs, probably drafting some perfect apology, or worse, another post. I didn't care. I locked the bathroom door, sat on the edge of the tub, let the silence stretch between the walls like a scream in reverse. I remembered how he used to hold me when I cried, how his arms felt like shelter. But that version of him was gone, replaced by someone who needed admiration more than intimacy. A man who could pose with his child, but forget her mother in the next breath. I thought about leaving. I imagined packing a bag, lifting Ava from her crib, and walking into the night. But I was exhausted. Grief is heavy. Betrayal is heavier. I crawled into bed instead, fully dressed, heart pounding like it didn't trust me anymore. The next morning, he was gone. A note on the counter. "Giving you space. Let's talk soon." I laughed. A dry, cracked laugh that didn't sound human. He needed space? He wanted to talk? After carving me out of his life like a typo? I stayed in bed most of the day. Ava played beside me. Her presence saved me. Every giggle, every tug on my sleeve, every little mama brought me back from the edge. She didn't know what he'd done, but somehow she knew I needed her. Zoe came by with soup. She didn't ask questions, just sat, handed me tissues, held Ava. When I finally spoke, I said, "He edited me out like a mistake." Her face didn't flinch. She whispered, "Then it's time we rewrite the caption." That night, I reopened his post, read every comment again, saved everyone. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, but I knew this. I would never let my daughter grow up thinking silence was strength. The next morning, I opened my laptop. I hadn't touched it in days. The screen felt foreign, like it belonged to someone else's life. But I needed to know. What else had he done without my permission? I started with his posts, not just the blurred one, but everything from the past year. I noticed the shift in tone, the calculated captions. Always focused on fatherhood, never on partnership, never on us. And slowly, my presence had evaporated. I checked the metadata on the photo he posted, our living room, same timestamp as the one I remembered. He had taken the photo on my phone, then airdropped it to himself. That detail mattered. It meant he had the original, with my face. I dug through his old captions. Found one from a family trip where he thanked everyone who made this journey possible. I remembered that trip. I'd been 5 months pregnant, vomiting daily. He hadn't. Mentioned me once, then came the receipts, literally. In his email, still logged in on our shared tablet, I found an invoice for a digital editor, a freelance Photoshop artist. One image description read, "Remove subject left of center. Emphasize father-daughter." My stomach turned. I forwarded it to myself, along with a file of edited photos, side-by-side comparisons, one with me smiling, holding Ava, the other with me gone, cropped out, filtered into oblivion. I felt like a ghost reviewing her own disappearance. Zoe came over again. I showed her everything. She didn't speak for a full minute. Then she asked, "Do you want to go public with this?" I said yes. Not to shame him, at least not entirely, but because truth needed an audience. We crafted a post together, not angry, not bitter, just honest. Side-by-side photos. A caption that read, "This was the photo he shared. This was the one he erased. I am Ava's mother, even when I'm inconvenient." I hesitated before pressing share. But I did it. Within an hour, it spread. Messages poured in. Other women, other mothers, strangers who'd been edited out of weddings, erased from baby albums, silenced in favor of a better aesthetic. I wasn't alone. And that made the pain easier to hold. Marcus texted me, "You're being unfair." I replied with a single image, the invoice from the editor. No words, just the truth, staring him in the face. He never responded. Sarah's name popped, up in a comment thread. Someone tagged her, asking how it felt to be called real family over the child's actual mother. Her account went private within minutes. I contacted a lawyer, not out of spite, but to protect my image, my rights, my daughter. I needed to set boundaries in legal ink. He didn't own our story. He couldn't curate pain without consequence. Anymore. For the first time in weeks, I exhaled. Not in relief, but in readiness. The air felt clearer, my body lighter. I had pulled the curtain back on the performance, and now it was my stage. I didn't need to yell. I didn't need to burn his clothes or post revenge stories. My story was already working. The truth had legs. It traveled faster than I could chase, and I let it run wild. The post went viral overnight. Blogs picked it up. "Mother erased for Instagram aesthetic," one headline read. Comments flooded in. Women from everywhere shared their own edited-out moments. The hashtag #IamNotAblur started trending. I didn't plan it, but I smiled. Marcus deactivated his Facebook, switched his Instagram to private. His brand offers dried up. One email from a children's brand read, "We value authentic representation. At this time, we are pausing our collaboration." That email felt like closure. He called once. I didn't answer, left a voicemail. "This isn't who I am. You're ruining me." I laughed under my breath. "No," I thought. "You ruined yourself. I'm just holding up a mirror." I printed the invoice from the Photoshop freelancer, framed it, hung it next to Ava's finger painting in the hallway. Zoe called it petty. I called it Exhibit A in my emotional museum. Then I did one more thing. I created a blog. Not about Marcus, about motherhood. Real motherhood, with sleepless nights, milk-stained shirts, stretch marks and all. I titled it Unblurred, and I posted every raw, beautiful, unedited thing. People came. They stayed. Some cried in the comments. Some sent photos of themselves holding babies with messy buns and tired eyes. I wasn't invisible anymore. I was leading a movement he accidentally started by trying to erase me. Ava's daycare teacher told me, "She says mama all the time now, like she's proud." I cried in the car, because my daughter saw me, even when her father didn't. Even when the world scrolled past the blurred woman and praised the smiling man. One of his relatives messaged me, said they were sorry, said they had no idea. I didn't respond. I didn't need apologies. I had peace. And peace doesn't negotiate with people who only see you when it's convenient. The best part? I didn't lose control. I kept my voice steady, my words careful. I exposed him without cruelty. That's what made it worse, for him. Because he knew he couldn't spin it. He had no version that made him the victim. Sarah? She deleted every photo of Marcus. Her silence said everything. I didn't need revenge on her. Watching him collapse under his own vanity was enough. I printed the original photo, the one he blurred, framed it in black and gold, put it in Ava's room. She'll grow up knowing who was really there, who stood beside her, who never needed to be perfect to be present. He erased me once, but I became unforgettable. I didn't move back into the old house. I rented a small place near the ocean instead. Nothing fancy, just wide windows, white curtains that dance with the breeze, and silence that doesn't feel like punishment anymore. Ava laughs louder here. Maybe I do too. We started new traditions. Sunday morning walks barefoot in the sand, baking banana muffins while Ava plays with wooden spoons. I take pictures sometimes, nothing posed, just her joy, my hands, the mess, the beauty of being present. And unfiltered, I framed the photo he blurred, not out of bitterness, but to remind myself, I lived through that. I was invisible once. but only for a moment. Now, that moment is just a border in a gallery of truth I built myself. One afternoon, Ava pointed at that frame and asked, "Why your face look funny?" I knelt beside her and said, "Because someone tried to erase me." She blinked, "But you here now." And just like that, she gave me back everything. The blog grew. Unblurred became more than posts. It became community. I launched a podcast. Interviewed women who'd been silenced, forgotten, made invisible in their own lives. One of them said, "This wasn't heartbreak, it was awakening." And I felt that in my spine. Zoe's still beside me. She brings fresh flowers every week, says it's for the table, but I think it's to remind me that things grow back, even after being cut down. She's right. I've bloomed in places I never expected. He reached out again, months later. A long email about reflection and regret. Said he missed the family we had. I didn't reply. I don't respond to ghosts, especially the ones that blurred me out to feel more alive themselves. Some nights, I walk the shore alone after Ava sleeps. I breathe deep. Listen to the waves say what I couldn't back then. I whisper to the wind, "You don't own me anymore." And it's true. I belong to myself now. I don't need the applause. Don't crave revenge. I have peace, purpose, presence. I'm not the supporting character in someone else's image. I'm the whole damn story. And Ava gets to grow up watching a woman who didn't settle for being silent. She'll know that when they try to blur. You don't fade. You refocus. Because he posted our child. He blurred my face and tried to rewrite the narrative. But I didn't get closure. I got freedom, and I became his biggest regret.